Well, listen, man, you just finished the Headbangers Ball tour, right?
Yes,
How'd that go?
it was great. Yeah, yeah, we had good fun actually. The gigs were great. All the bands got on really well. We were sharing a buzz with Violence. We've never met those guys before, but we had a blast with those guys. They're really great guys, and we had some fun with those. I think we made some new friends on that. With the other bands and stuff. Um, it was good for us because we're like second time around us, so we haven't been on an actual tour bus for like 20 years, so that was a bit of a trip down memory lane.
Yeah, yeah.
When we got to when we got to Amsterdam, we met in Amsterdam, and Violence had got there in the earlier in the day, so they got the best bunks, so we got all the top bunks, and it was like,
Oh
how are
God.
we getting those? They're like here. It's like,
Yeah.
anyway, but yeah,
You
we
met
had
Yeah, you met all those guys for the first time? You didn't know any of them?
Yeah. No, we never met any of
Wow.
them. So, and it's like, okay, you're going to spend 10 days with them on this little, like, on this buzz. But they were good fun. They're good guys.
That's awesome. So congrats on the new record, Seven
Cheers.
Words.
Yeah.
It's awesome. So what was the motivation behind making it?
I don't know if there was any motivation apart from we just wanted to make another record, really. Um,
Hmm.
we just wanted to do something productive in lockdown. Because we couldn't play shows, we couldn't rehearse, so it's like let's start writing music. So that's when it actually started writing it. And then
Yeah.
we when we could actually get together and rehearse, we did that and sort of built it on it from there. And it should have been out a little earlier than it was, but we're lucky enough to be friends with Andy Sneap. So Andy's like Andy's, we want Andy to do the mixing for us and help us with the recording. So
Oh,
anytime
cool.
we have to kind of work around his schedule, you know what I mean? So he's quite busy, with Judas Priest. So it was like there was a period where he wasn't doing the Judas Priest thing for like a day, and he rang me up and said, "Oh, I can mix your album." I was like, "Right, great, great." And then and then he rang me back the next day and said, "Oh no, I'm back in, so you're gonna wait till April." So I was like, "Okay, fair enough."
How'd you guys meet?
Andy.
Yeah.
Um, well, our first tour back in '89 was with his band Sabbath. So we toured with the UK with his band, and we've just been friends, since then. So we're old school. We know him from a long time ago, from before he was famous.
Yeah. That's awesome, man.
But he's a great guy. He's a really good guy, and he's helped us out so much, with all sorts of things, like bits of gear, and he lent us a case, a big double guitar case to take on the Headbangers Ball tour. We were like, he's like, I've got one of these lying around. You can take that. He's great. He's a great guy.
That's awesome. How much do you have like an effect on the mix or the master? Do you do anything in that, or do you just let Andy like handle all the mixing and the mastering?
I'm
Are you
quite
hands
sort of
on at all?
I'm quite sort of I'm a bit of a sort of I have to be everything to do with this band. I have to have an input on it. Apart from that, which is the only thing I'll let Andy just have say on it. And he'll ask me things, and he'll say, "What do you think? Think this should be louder?" I'm like, "If you think it's right, I'm happy with that," because I
Yeah.
I don't trust my ears anymore. I'm like the amount of times I've in the past I've said that should be louder or that should be quieter, and then like a week later I'm like, oh, why did I say that? I don't know what I'm talking about. So he's the only person that I will say, like, whatever you think, whatever and I'll say a couple of things to him, and I'll even say, but if you think it's wrong, then just do what you think. It's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So Seven Words, man. So a lot of the themes of that record is like change and revolution. Does that come from any was that inspired from anything going on today? Like any current
Um,
events?
Probably, yeah. I mean, this album was the only this album is the album that I've written the least lyrics on. So I've
Oh,
only written
really?
one set of lyrics. So I had to sort of ask our singer, because I quite like the idea of a singer in a band writing the words. I like that idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the past, I've written words for the old singers and stuff, mainly because just needed words and they've run out of them. So they go around the band. We all used to put our two pennies worth in, but with Jay, he had words and he was like writing stuff all the time. So I was like, go for it, man. You know, I'm happy to let you do it. So when it came time to do these interviews, I'm like, okay, so they're going to ask me what these songs are about. So what are they about? So yeah, there's a little bit of that, but yeah, I think a lot of it is, how the kind of the way the world is at the minute, how everything's going, and I know with the definitely with the artwork, that was definitely inspired by that. That's what Dan, who did the artwork for us, he just said it out loud. He was like, I've just got this idea because of what's going on, I'm just gonna go with this sort of the idea, but put some of the Fruits Advantage guy in there and all that, So Dan's another one that I will let him have a bit of a reign on it, but we have backwards and forwards stuff about artwork ideas.
Yeah, there's been so many riots and whatnot recently. He's pretty much become your like Eddie at this point.
Yeah.
Do you have a name for him at all?
Yeah, he's called Graham. It's just a silly thing that somebody said he looked like Graham Bonnet in the back in the Rainbow Since You've Been Gone video.
Oh, that's amazing.
I think he's the but yeah, he's it was actually when we did the last album, Bury the Pain. It was Dan's idea. Said, well, why don't we do, get the guy back in from Fruits Advantage, and then with this one, it was like, oh, yeah, we got to get him again. I mean, originally he did the artwork with the guy in like a suit in the rough, and it looked a bit strange to me that. So I was like, well, can we get him in like, the first Terminator film when it's Kyle Reese, who's going after Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah. He's got that trench coat on. That's kind of like where I got that idea. I said to him, and he's a massive Terminator fan, so he was like, yeah, definitely, let's do that. So,
That's awesome. You said once that Bury the Pain was like the proper follow-up to For Whose Advantage. What's your opinion on the third and fourth record?
Well, they for me personally, I mean, I like a lot of the songs on there, but I feel like we kind of the 90s was a strange time for metal for us as well, and everyone was looking to change, and that's why the Kin records a little bit, but it's a weirder record for us, kind of going away from what we should have done, I think personally. So. And then we did the album Scourge with a totally different lineup, but more or less totally different lineup, and that should have been a different band completely. We wanted to do that as a different band name.
Wow,
kind of like at that time, Xentrix was kind of like finished really, so we were trying to experiment, and we got a different singer, slightly different style. So that shouldn't really be a Xentrix record, in my opinion. But I do like the record, and it's
me too.
I think it's a good record in places, and but when we came back as like the original lineup, it was like I wanted to write an album that should have sort of been after Fruits Advantage. So, and it feels to me like that now the four records sit nicer. So you got Shattered Existence, Fruits Advantage, Bury the Pain, and now 7 Words, and they kind of, I think they do visually as well. If you put them together visually, the artwork sort of sits.
Yeah.
The first one's got the worst artwork, but the rest of them sort of like they kind of visually go together, whereas the other ones just don't. They don't sit right. So
yeah, I feel like just in the 90s in general, a lot of thrash metal bands were kind of like evolving into like you even look at like the Black Album. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, Testament were doing it.
Yeah.
Forbidden did it. Everyone was trying to sort of survive and change and do something a little just different, really. So it was just one of those times, really.
Now, for a follow-up for 7 Words, can fans expect that? Like a next record?
Yeah, I mean, that's the plan. We don't feel like we haven't actually played most of this stuff live yet, so we don't feel like we should be writing another record to play some of it live. But yeah, we're not going to sit around and do nothing. We're going to keep going, and we've already got I've already got a bunch of ideas. Whether or not they'll end up on the next record, I don't know. But it's already in progress. I don't sit around and I've always got riffs going on. I'm always recording, waking up in the morning and going, "Oh, that's good. Record it now, quick, before it's gone." They just disappear.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome because 7 Words is fantastic, and to see that almost like a follow up to that record, and can fans expect kind of the same sound, almost like a sequel to 7 Words?
Yes, I would say so. Mainly because I think I don't think we really have it in us to do anything different. I think this is kind of what we're going to do. We're just going to try and be the best version of Xentrix as we can. We're not going to try and experiment really with anything. We're not going to be like, we're not going to do funk metal. We're not going to do pirate metal. We're not going to do
Yeah, no
techno metal.
more no more movie covers.
Yeah, no more movie covers. Yeah, well, you never know.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, it's. I think we're probably this is what we're going to do. This is our thing really. So we'll just do it till we drop, I think.
How much do your influences affect your current writing?
Well, I think they always have, and they always probably will. So I'm a kind of like new wave of British heavy metal guy. I grew up listening to like the likes of Priest, Maiden, Sabbath, and like Rainbow and all that stuff, and progressed onto Motörhead and Venom, and then you just went harder and heavier and harder and heavier. But that sort of baseline of that heavy metal, British heavy metal sort of thing, I think I can't get away from that. That kind of like, and I think you can probably hear that in Xentrix. It's that the harmony guitars. It's just all there from the Priest and the Maiden thing.
Yeah.
It's just what's in our DNA, I think.
Now, I've always wondered this. How was the thrash metal scene in the late 80s? Like
In
like was it
in the
just
UK,
yeah, in the UK?
it was good. I think
Oh yeah?
we kind of tagged on to the end of it really. We were a bit late to the party. By the time we got sort of our first album out, it was 89. We got to play gigs with the likes of Sabbath with Andy, Onslaught, Acid Rain, Reanimator, Slammer, and there was like
Cool.
this sort of tight knit community that all these bands that we're still in contact with most of them today, and it was none of us really reached the heady heights that the Americans did though. We kind of I don't think any of us really got to go to America. I don't think so. I don't think Onslaught did. Maybe they did. A couple of the guys got on major labels and had some money put in, but nobody really like reached that sort of like big, big band status. It was all sort of club level gigs. But in some ways, that's kind of where that our type of music is best. It's like it's kind of good in the smaller venues. It kind of works there, when you're close up with people and there's a pit going and everything. It shouldn't really. It's not really stadium rock, is it? Thrash metal. You
Yeah.
know, you know what I mean. It kind of works at kind of a smaller level. I think when it gets too big, it kind of gets lost in translation, I think.
Yeah, it's just very interesting to hear that because, when everyone talks about early thrash metal, they'll think of California, the East Bay, but we never get to hear about like the UK thrash scene. You know
Yeah,
what I
I
mean? And it's cool
mean,
that there was a little tight-knit community there.
it was kind of small, and we all used to play similar gigs and play with each other. And one of the best venues was in London. There was the Marquee, which is famous, but it was the second version of it. So the famous one where the Stones and the Beatles played was actually an older, smaller venue, and they made a bigger one in the 80s. And that was like, I think they could get about, it was like 1,000 people, I think. And we'd play those places, we probably wouldn't, they probably wouldn't fill it. I think they didn't used to always have the top floor open, it was like they just have the downstairs, but it was great. There was some great gigs in there, you know.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed that time, you know. And but it didn't. We we weren't a part of it for that long. It doesn't seem like we were there that long anyway. Before it kind of like died out, and you know, grunge came in, and everybody stopped. The word thrash metal became a dirty word, and nobody wanted to be a thrash band anymore. And you know,
And
so
Kin came out.
yeah, and we did that as well. Yeah, our
Which is a
fault.
fantastic record. I haven't heard anyone say anything bad about that.
Apart from me.
Yeah, well, there you go. Your own worst critic right there.
Yeah, yeah.
So I feel like Xentrix almost has like a new life to it now. Like it's totally been reborn. How much do you think the internet has affected that?
Well, the internet's obviously it's a new animal for us, or it has been for the past 8 or 9 years. First time around there was no internet, so this is like this changes everything. You know, being able to do things like this, speak to you,
Yeah.
you know, just generally just respond to people. But I suppose it has its downside, and you know, people can be nasty on the internet and get away with it. You know?
Yeah.
And not to us really, but you know, so it's a plus and minus thing, and also you know, I do miss the time, not so much about selling physical things, but people used to, if you bought something from, if you went out and bought a record, you obviously you look like you bought a couple of records in your
I have a
time.
couple. Yeah.
So when you got a record, you'd you know, you'd sit down and look at it and put it on and read the liner notes, and they, if you liked it, they were your band and you'd invested in that band. And now with the internet, it's kind of like you can instantly just bring up a band's sort of like full discography and just like listen to and just go, nah, I don't like that anymore.
Yeah.
It's a weird sort of thing now, you know. But it's cool. It is cool as well because our music can be out there to everyone, and I like that, you know. So it's got
Yeah.
its sort of trade-offs. It's a double-edged sword, really.
It is cool, and, like, you look at streaming as well, like
Yeah.
Spotify and whatnot, you know, where it's you can be in any country, anywhere, it doesn't matter what record store is in your town, like, you can listen to the whole Xentrix catalog front to
Yeah.
back. It's really fantastic, and I think it's definitely, like, you know, gotten a lot of these bands, like, you know, a younger audience,
Yeah, definitely.
you know?
And that can only be a good thing for us, you know. But like I said, I kind of miss the time when, you know, like people, you would go out and try and find bands, you know, that you would try and
Yeah,
discover bands. There's none of that anymore, really, you know, because everyone's out there all the time. So, but yeah, I think it's great that you know, anyone around the world can just literally listen to anything we've ever done. So it's cool.
it is cool, and I do get what you're saying because you know, you do have that community aspect when it is like, you know, you get into a scene and then some guys, "Oh, you gotta check out this record," and you go down this rabbit hole
Yeah,
almost. You know, I've heard stories too. I was talking to the band Toxic, and they were just they were telling me stories about, like, you know, going to the store and then picking up that Iron Maiden album and like,
yeah,
"What is this?"
exactly. Yeah.
You
You
know?
know,
So you don't
and
really get that anymore, unfortunately, but
no.
we trade that for, you know, being able to have everything at our fingertips,
So
which is which is wild, and I think it's really helping you guys and the rest of the, you know,
yeah,
Violence, Whiplash.
yeah,
Um, like I've been to some of these shows and you know, the age range is crazy now, which is
yes,
really
yeah,
awesome, which is
yes.
great, you
It is
know?
good. It's good to see. Like, I mean, we're getting a lot of, you know, people who are like into us first time around bringing their kids, you know, their kids are like 15, 16, 17, 18, you know, and they're bringing those guys with them. So it's cool to see, you know, and it's, we're experiencing this type of thing for the first time because obviously we're the sort of like thrash metal. I mean, not just Xentrix, but like this sort of genre of music, you know, is the first. It's probably the most extreme thing that's happened, you know, in music. That is now like got people in it who are like in their 60s, you know,
Yeah.
still playing it. It's like, because like you mentioned Whiplash and Tony from Whiplash on the last date. You know, that guy is just like a legend. And on the last date, he just like somersaulted into the crowd, and everyone crowd surfed. You know, and he's like 62, I think. And he was like, I
Wow.
was like, Tony, you are insane, man. You know, it was cool. Really super nice guy. All those
That's
guys.
awesome. Yeah, and I'm so glad. I'd love for you guys to tour the US at some point.
Yeah, well,
I
me
know
too.
it's a financial thing though, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I mean, if it, I'd love it to happen. It'd be great to. I, hopefully, we can get on. You know, there's some like US festivals that bringing over bands. You know, I know Onslaught got to go to which one was it? Is it Maryland Death Fest or something?
Hmm.
You know, and maybe we could tag on to something like that. You know, and get a one-off gig to start us off. Be great, but we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, I keep thinking, well, this record might just lift our profile a bit more. You know, people seem to like it a bit more. Let's just fingers crossed. But yeah, we'd love to come to the States. It'd be super cool.
Yeah, that'd be excellent. And yeah, I think a next record, like people are really gonna dig that because you guys have gotten into like almost like consistency with quality with every song.
Yeah.
And I feel like you guys are just getting tighter and tighter per release. So it's really awesome to see. Now, I'm just curious, how much has like technology affected the writing process? Has it just been always, the same thing, or has technology really integrated in your life in terms of like writing and putting riffs down?
Yeah,
Um,
and technology, I embrace it because otherwise you get left behind. So I've got a little in this room here. I've got the little setup that's got like the home studio thing, and I use the Superior drummer and record things here, and then I can send them to the other guys, and they can go, yeah, it's good, no, it's rubbish, and
yeah.
and you just got. I think you've just got to embrace it. I know people who just don't, and they kind of like, but they also don't get things done because you need to get things done because like the clock's ticking. We ain't getting any younger. You know what I mean? You've got
Yeah,
to
yeah.
keep going. Get the stuff out there and keep it rolling. So yeah, we embrace it. I'm the one that sort of like cracks the whip with everyone else and says, you need to get your own sort of home setup, get practicing and do it at home and get stuff going. You gotta embrace the technology. It's all there to be had and it's inexpensive now as well.
Yeah, and I feel like bands back in the day too pretty much lived with each other. So it was like very easy to write together. And now it's like everyone's doing their own thing.
Yeah.
I know your singer had like a kid recently.
Yes. So
Yeah.
I actually saw him yesterday because he came up at the weekend, but yeah, he lives like 3 hours away. So he's the one that we have to sort of like use the technology for, so he'll do stuff in it at home and I'll send him stuff and then he'll come up and we'll have a full rehearsal. But the other three of us, we get together more regularly and do like little rehearsals, but to keep sort of chops in. But he's the one that we need to use the WhatsApps and the and send him the stuff.
Yeah.
The good thing about us is, which I don't think I could be in a band that wasn't like this. We're all great friends, so we're always sending each other like every day. There'll be like 10, 15 WhatsApps of just stupid shit,
Oh yeah.
all the time, when we're like kids, really. But we just, we have fun with it because we enjoy it. We enjoy playing together and we enjoy each other's company. So as long as that,
Totally. And that's awesome. I think Jay's a great addition to the
yes,
band.
yeah, he is in every way as well. So he's helped with the writing, he's helped with the playing, and just everything, and the kind of the mood of the band as well. We all get on and have fun together, so it's because he came up and spent the night at the drummers and they went out and I couldn't go, but they went watching. Do you know the band Alcatraz?
I don't think I'm familiar, no.
No, well, Alcatraz was actually just a little history lesson here. If you Google Alcatraz, there was actually Graham Bonnet was in Alcatraz. Ingrid Malmsteen was in Alcatraz,
Oh,
and
really?
Steve Vai, yeah,
Really?
yeah, and they're still going, but I don't know who's in them. Obviously, none of those people are in them.
Yeah.
But they were watching Alcatraz at this place, and yeah, I think they stayed
Wow.
up to it. 5 o'clock or something drinking, but yeah.
That's funny. I had no clue that you hear weird things like Billy Joel had like a metal album or whatever. Like I had no idea.
Yeah.
That's a super group right there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I'm just curious. I was saying before how I feel like Xentrix has almost like a new life to it.
Yeah.
Could fans ever expect a live record from you guys?
Oh, I mean, we did like a live EP thing. It's the only thing
Yeah.
that isn't on online. And that has, I think that's got like 4 songs on it. But yeah, maybe.
'Cause you guys have quite the catalog now.
I suppose, yeah. Now we should consider recording a few of the shows once we start getting. Yeah, it's something that, to be honest, I haven't really thought about, but we should do. We should start recording some of the bits. You're right.
There you go.
Yeah, you may have started it.
Yeah, cool. I'm glad. I hope this snowballs into something. Now I know you guys had like a name change, but where does the name Xentrix come from?
So it was basically when we started in '88, I think. I joined the band. Well, no, to be fair, I joined the band when I was 15, so I was 86. And it was Chris Astley's band, who's the original singer, and it was like his high school band. So it was like all sort of new wave of British heavy metal sort of things.
Yeah.
And it was called Sweet Vengeance. And we got signed by Roadrunner as Sweet Vengeance, but they said you can't be Sweet Vengeance. It's just not a strong enough name. It's too new wave of British heavy metal. So we were like, yeah, fair enough. So we had like but it was like, oh, you need a new name by Thursday. Like, what? Right.
It's like homework.
Yeah, it was like, oh, all there looking through the dictionary, trying to come up with, and we decided that we wanted like a one word. I mean, some of this is in my brain, and I forget a lot of it. But I remember, if I remember rightly, we decided we wanted like a one word name, and we were like trying to find words in the dictionary. And somebody came up with Xentrix, CENTRIC, and it's like, which means the center of everything. And it was like, oh, that's quite a cool sound. And then somebody said, well, what happens if we put like an X at the beginning? And it was like, what? And then somebody else said, well, for the consistency of the logo, let's put 2 X's on it.
Yeah.
So it became this thing. And then people said, does it mean eccentric? And we were like, well, not really, no. And
yeah.
At that time, Roadrunner said, yeah, it's great. And they were off. It was like, yeah, fine, okay. we didn't have time to decide whether or not we liked it. But
that's
yeah,
great.
It's one of those names that's like, the only good thing about it is it's kind of like on its own, so you don't associate it with anything else, which was quite kind of good. Although the .com domain name went straight away. Like,
really?
Yeah. So, and we've got the .co.uk, we've got the UK one, but the .com one, somebody, but nobody, they're not using it. They just got it. Yeah, and
wow.
If you go on, if you ever do you watch Rick and Morty?
Yes. Yeah.
Have you seen there's a Xentrix Studios?
Oh, is there?
Yeah. So if you, I think
it's wow.
Second series of Rick and Morty, the credits. And it flashed up, and it was like, my wife said, "Did that just say Xentrix Studios?" Like, no. I was like, rewind it. It's like, oh yeah. And there's an animation studio in India called Xentrix Studio.
Oh my god.
I know. And there's a few other things. I think there's like a sub bass speaker for a car. That's a Xentrix one. There's a hockey stick, and I think like some skis or something. There's like a load of things that was like, what? Well,
that's so random.
I know, it's weird, isn't it? There's a DJ Xentrix as well, who is on like iTunes and Apple Music, and he actually emailed me saying, "Do you want to sell your website?" I'm like, no.
That's great.
Yeah, it was like,
that's so weird, because you would think out of all the bands, like you would think Xentrix would be the one where no one would like have the same name.
Exactly.
you know, but apparently I'm wrong on that.
All the words in the world have gone. They've all been taken, haven't they?
Yeah, we're out of words.
Exactly.
So you were saying you were signed to Roadrunner back in the day. So you're signed with Listenable now.
Yeah.
How'd that start?
So we played at Alcatraz Festival in Belgium, and Laurent, who's the guy from Listenable, came to see us, and he said, "Oh, I'm a big fan of the band." He was actually friends with the guy who signed us from Roadrunner. He said, "I'm a
Mm,
friend of Mark's." He said, "Like, he said, I've liked you guys forever." He said, "If you ever record an album, give me a shout." I was like, "Okay." We didn't know much about his label, the French label, but um, we when we recorded Bury the Pain, we shopped it around a few people, and he was the guy that was just like, he was just so enthusiastic about it. So he was like, and we had a few conversations with him. So it was like, do you know what? Yeah, fine, we'll go with you, because he's such a nice guy, and he was like so enthusiastic about metal and so enthusiastic about the band that we thought, well, that's got to count for a lot these days. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
because we're not looking for somebody to, like, at the time we weren't looking for somebody to, like, put a load of money behind the band and do all this type of stuff. We just wanted somebody to sort of let us be what we wanted to be and sort of like grow with us. You know what I mean? Because we kind of want to do it on our own and do it at our own pace
Yeah.
and be a bit more organic about it. You know what I mean? So they said it was fine. I think they're good for us.
Yeah, definitely. And you guys are definitely like, this is such a perfect setup for like your next release, future endeavors. You got a
Yeah,
great label now you're working with. I feel like the band has finally got its rhythm,
yeah.
so in the future now, as we wrap up here, how can fans keep up with Xentrix?
Well, we obviously you can go to the website and the Facebook page and all that malarkey, and just check us out on the streaming stuff. Like you say, we're hopefully we're gonna be doing more shows this year. We're still waiting for our agent to confirm a few things, but yeah, it's we're happy with the way that people have received the album, and it's seemingly going down well, and people are like taking notice of us again. So that's cool.
Totally. Well, Christian, thank you so much for joining me on Disturbing the Priest. I'm Brandon Baddock, and this has been Disturbing the Priest.